Hi, this is Mags on Sport, and this is episode 1 of the Dynasty Hotseat. Here we go. All right, so let's just get straight into it then, shall we? So the concept of the entire show is I'm going to be the host of the show. We're going to bring on different guests every single week, hopefully, people that you know and love from the Dynasty Twitter community. They're going to talk about some hints and tips that they have from their years of experience playing the game. Then we're going to put them in the hot seat and see if they can put their money where their mouth is and do a real-time mock draft with me to see exactly what kind of team they would build if they were making a brand new startup. I thought first person's got to be in the hot seat since I'm going to put everyone else in it. I've got to do it myself to give it a shot first. So here's some hints and tips that I've picked up the last couple of years of playing Dynasty. So I got 3 for you. 1, if you're playing super flex, the quarterback is the most important position. Now that might sound obvious, but especially think of the quarterback whenever you're doing your startup drafts, and then think about the value that they're going to bring into the season. Okay, I went back and I looked at a couple of the drafts that I just did this past season, and there are quarterbacks going far, far, far later than they have any right to. For example, I've got a few notes here. 1, I've seen people taking in the first round Jonathan Taylor ahead of people like Joe Burrow or Dak Prescott. Now, whenever you're in the middle of a season, you're trying to buy Dak Prescott, you're trying to buy Joe Burrow. Someone offers you Jonathan Taylor straight up for them. You should probably say no. And yet Jonathan Taylor is still going ahead of these guys in a startup draft because people have got their quarterback already, or they're wanting to get their running back locked in. But they're not thinking about the value that will have halfway through the season. Some later quarterbacks that you might see are people like, Tyreek Hill, or wide receivers, your high-end wide receivers going ahead of people like Russell Wilson. And again, you get offered straight up Tyreek Hill or Russell Wilson, who you're going to take mid-season. You're going to take the quarterback in Superflex every single time. But yeah, time in and time out, you see these headline players being taken ahead of the solid value in the quarterback. As you go down, it gets even worse and worse and worse. You'll see, people like Matthew Stafford and Tua Tagovailoa, they're going behind people like Aaron Jones, Stephon Diggs, even Miles Sanders I've seen. And again, you go try and buy Matthew Stafford and offer Miles Sanders, it's not happening. You go try and buy Tua and offer Aaron Jones, it's not happening. And yet it happens all the time in the startup draft. So whenever you're drafting, yes, obviously think about your team. But if a quarterback is there, take the value and then trade later on, because someone's going to be caught without a quarterback and they're going to need one. And chances are they're going to come looking to you if you've taken them. Now you hold all the quarterback cards. Feel free then to deal them out for a higher price than you would have paid during the draft. So that's my tip 1 to people that I've discovered and I've noticed. Tip 2, whenever you are dealing with trades and you're offering picks to people, don't think of it as just a pick. What is that pick realistically going to translate to? Don't think, oh, sweet, this guy's offering me a first, sell. Because you might just be thinking, first, I'm going to get Jamar Chase. You might get Jalen Reagor. You think, oh, first, brilliant. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to get a high-end wide receiver. Things might not work out that way. You might end up taking Trey Sermon. So before you go dealing all your cards and collecting in all these firsts, have a think about who is that going to be? There is a huge difference between an early first and a late first. And even those early firsts, as we've seen with Trevor Lawrence, they don't always hit right away. So try to stop thinking about picks as numbers and start thinking about picks as players. And whenever you get a trade in and you see, oh, someone's offering me pick 1-7 for, let's say, any player off your team, 1-7 for Kirk Cousins. Yeah. What are you going to do? You're going to take Kirk Cousins, reliable quarterback, or pick 1-7. Who's that going to be in this year's draft? And then think, would you swap Kirk Cousins for one of these riskier running backs or receivers or quarterbacks from this year's class? So think of it more like that and not, oh, cool, I get a first round pick and I've got a shot. Think about it more as a player for player swap and what that player is likely to be and would you accept it then? And my third tip is, partly the whole reason I wanted to start this entire thing is listen to this community. There are so many people that have got absolutely amazing ideas and great insight into the game. And, I've learned so much from listening to people like over at the Dynasty Nerds team, over at the Wildcard Fantasy Podcast and the Dynasty Drive, and so many other people, Destination Devi. So many people have got loads of insight. So, that's kind of why I started the show. I want to get them on here and I want to hear more from them and spread their message across the rest of the community. So hopefully we can do that. But now time for the fun part of the show, and it's the hot seat. So I'm going to be doing my own mock draft. Let's see what the team looks like after. Hopefully it'll be good. I'm going to be using the Dynasty Nerds mock draft tool to do this. I tried a few. It's definitely got the most realistic, up-to-date ADP, especially compared to like the Sleeper app, which is, not up-to-date whatsoever. So Dynasty Nerds mock draft tool. They're not paying me to say this, but it's a great, great tool. So you should give it a shot. And we're hopefully going to try and do a little screen share here and you'll be able to see what I'm doing as well. So let's go. Let's put me in the hot seat. Okay, so here we go. This is the Dynasty Nerds mock draft tool. Like I said, I've tried a few different ones, and this is by far and away the best one that I was able to find. So what we're doing is we're doing a startup draft. We'll go super flex. We'll go your standard 12 teams. And let's do 20 rounds. That gives us, room for our 8 core starters and then, a big enough bench to kind of really get into some nice depth. So there's 12 teams. I'm going to just choose position 6, slap bang in the middle. It's not the position I would choose if I was given the choice, but I'm going to leave that discussion up to some of our guests to see. So I'm just going to go slap bang in the middle. I'm going to create this mock draft and let's see what the app throws us. So see here, these are going to be my picks. I'm ready to start the draft. Let's see how we go. Boom. So right away, Mahomes going off the board. No surprise there. Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, those quarterbacks early. Okay, so I'm going to pause the draft. Let's have a look at what we got here. So right away, as I said at the start, absolutely needing to get a quarterback. Joe Burrow's there. Lamar Jackson's there. Who else do we have at that QB position? Dak is there. Trevor Lawrence there. Russell Wilson, Trey Lance, Matthew Stafford. I mean, to me, Joe Burrow is really standing out. The guy's an absolute star. Yeah. Lamar obviously has got his talents, but I think Joe Burrow's arm is far more sustainable than Lamar Jackson's legs. And he's not really developed as a passer as much as a lot of people thought he might. So I'm going with the kid, Joe Burrow. In you go. And let's see. Lamar goes right away, obviously. And you can see some of these young receivers coming off the board now, as you would expect. So got my quarterback locked up. The most important thing to do in Superflex. So again, back to me. Let's pause the draft. Hey, Dynasty Nerds, if you're watching, it'd be great if you could make this an option that there's no time limit. on this app, so I don't have to pause it every time. But I mean, it's an amazing draft as it is. So let's just stick with it as is at the moment. So what do we have here? We got Dalvin Cook, who I'm in no way interested in taking at all this early in startup. Javonte Williams, obviously a supremely talented running back. Russell Wilson, AJ Brown, Trey Lance. Wow. Okay. I got to go for the player here. Again, going back to my hints and tips, who is halfway through this season after this draft, who out of all those players in the Superflex League is going to be worth the most value? It's got to be Trey Lance. He has got the biggest upside there. It looks like he is going to be the man going forward at San Francisco, no matter what, even if they somehow get through and win the Super Bowl. It's got to be Trey Lance. If he hits off, you can straight up get Dalvin Cook and Javonte Williams for Trey Lance easily. You can get AJ Brown and Russell Wilson for Trey Lance if he hits off. So I think it's a bit of a no-brainer there. I'm going Trey Lance. I'm going double quarterback at the start. I've got that position hopefully locked in for, Burrow and Lance. You could be talking 15 years of not having to worry about quarterbacks. So yeah, Trey Lance for me. All right, let's keep this draft rolling. Russell goes, no surprise there. Stafford, Javonte. Yeah. So now I've got both my quarterbacks locked up. I can start to think about, right, how are my receivers looking? Is there a running back that I really like still on the board? I tend not to worry about running backs until later. I'm quite happy. It's called Dynasty Fantasy Football. It's not redraft. So I'm quite happy to not do excellently my first year, my second year. I'm quite happy to take these long-term pieces to sink down the rankings, get a high pick in the 23 draft and get my running back then. I'm more than happy to wait. So let's see who we got here. We got Justin Fields. Tremendous value at this point. I'm looking around. I'm seeing some really good. Jalen Waddle really stands out as an excellent player there, but Kyle Pitts has come in and had the best rookie season of any tight ends ever, I think, statistically, Dynasty Fantasy Football points wise. I think Kyle Pitts again, I'm thinking cornerstone, I'm thinking locked in. I don't have to worry about the tight end position now for 10 years. I've got two young quarterbacks. I've got a young tight end, three solid prospects. I'm taking Kyle Pitts here, just sneakily ahead of people like Jalen Waddle, who would have been next to my list. So I'm going Kyle Pitts. Let's go with that. Okay. Jalen Waddle might sneakily come back to us. That would be amazing if he did. But this app is pretty good at taking the players when you want them. Hurts is going Debo. Obviously, Chris Godwin, one of my favorite players. I've got a lot of shares in him. And it looks like, ladies and gents, we have struck gold a little bit here. Now, let's just not rush ahead. Let's make sure that we're happy with this. But Jalen Waddle is still available there. What a steal that is. DJ Moore is there, who obviously you gotta love, but that quarterback situation at Carolina is just so treacherous. And Jalen, I think, is linked up well with Tua. I like Tua. I think he's great. He might be someone that is still available later on. We could even grab Tua later too, just to lock up that quarterback position again. That value. Tannehill's there. I'm not a huge fan of Tannehill. He is steady. Mac Jones is there as well. Again, Mac Jones, I think, good NFL quarterback. Maybe not a star going forwards in terms of dynasty points. So, man, I just love Jalen Waddle. I can't not take him here. Yeah, Jalen Waddle, what an absolute steal that is. Although, I now I see Devonta Smith, and that makes me intrigued. No, I gotta go Jalen Waddle. He's looked absolutely electric, and again, hopefully Devonta will slide to us later, but who knows? Right, Jalen Waddle, here we go. Okay, Dobbins is gone. A lot of these running backs are disappearing. Again, I'm not too fussed about it. I'm happy to lock in the team, get ready for long-term success, and fill that running back position later. Devontae Smith went. That's a bit of a shame. So let's see, who do we have left? We got people like, Cam Akers again. Ooh, no, actually, something that I've done a lot in the getting some Twitter notifications from Kev. Oh, from the Wildcard podcast. Hey, Kev, how you doing? So let's have a look. We got Deshaun Watson here. I'm not going to take Deshaun Watson. One of the 5 best quarterbacks in the league. And he's just screaming out value there. I know I've already got 2 quarterbacks, but again, man, Deshaun Watson signs for a team and starts playing like Deshaun Watson plays. Pick 3 players on this list, put them together. That's how much Deshaun Watson's going to cost you. So I'm taking Deshaun Watson all a day here. So that's a sneaky one to look out for in your drafts coming up, because he'll be pushed way down the draft order. And man, if he gets back on the field, which it's looking very likely that he will, what an absolute steal you've got there. Okay, let's see. We're back on the board now. So let's pause this draft. Who we got? Oh, one of my favorite, 2 of my favorites, 3. Oh, this is a nice list here. Now, we've taken 3 stud quarterbacks, people who maybe haven't in the draft gone to quarterback yet. Look who you got. You got Carson Wentz. You got Baker Mayfield, Matt Ryan, Daniel Jones. That's bad having that as your second quarterback option, where now we've got 3, excellent options at quarterback, which, sets us in such good fares. Oh, this is a real tough choice. Normally, I would go with the young receivers here, but man, Elijah Mitchell has just looked spectacular, and it looks like he's going to be the guy going forward. I think Elijah Mitchell, you could offer Elijah Mitchell for Michael Pittman or Elijah Moore, and that would get the deal done. So I think the most value here of anyone, although I do like TJ Hawkinson, like I said, we got Cal Pitts locked up though. I'm going to Elijah Mitchell here because running back is about to fall off a cliff. So we need to get 1 running back in that, we can at least lock into our team and see if we can make a little bit of a run with our young players. So yeah, Elijah Mitchell for me here looks like the best option. So let's get him locked up. All right, who's going? Let's see. Elijah Moore gone. It's a shame. Michael Pittman, as we thought, disappeared. So let's see what comes around to us. We might have a little scan of our team actually and make sure that we got enough. I'm pretty sure we're a wee bit light receiver, so we'll probably take a receiver now. So let's go. Drafted. Who have I got? Yeah, we got Burrow and Lance and Watson. Let's do a position. We got Mitchell and Waddle and Pitts. So again, I think we should go get a wide receiver, shall we? So let's filter in those. Chase Claypool. I don't have anything to do with Chase Claypool, I don't think. We're looking a little bit thin here for a number 2 receiver. Michael Thomas is intriguing. That'll be a huge risk. Brandon Ayuk as well seems to go in and out of the doghouse, so we don't want too many San Fran players, all locked up. We got Lance and we got Mitchell, so again, you need to think about where your players are coming from. Interesting. Okay. Hunter Renfrow on the list could be an interesting option here. All right, let's maybe have a look and see, because the value doesn't look like it's quite there. And again, I don't want to reach too much. I see TJ Hawkinson there, and that just is, he is just standing out above everybody else. I know we've already got Kyle Pitts, but man, TJ Hawkinson at this stage is, I think, fantastic. I think he holds more value than Baker and Matt Ryan, who both might be out of the league in a few years. Michael Thomas is such a risk. Yeah, man, I'm taking TJ Hawkinson here. He's the value, so let's go with that. Now the clock is going off in my head. I'm thinking receiver, because although I like people like, Michael Thomas, again, it's a risk. I'm thinking I need to get that position locked up. And now see people taking people like Freiermuth and Fant as maybe their number one tight ends, and we've got two of the best tight ends absolutely locked up. So let's see if we got any more value at this receiver position. Now we got people like Rondell Moore, Mike Williams. That's an interesting shot with Mike Williams, actually. Odell, who knows where he's going to be. Kadarius Toney's an interesting prospect. Tricky. Amon-Ra St. Brown, you gotta love him. And the running backs, it looks like a wasteland already. You got Chris Carson, who's really, really going to struggle to be fit and healthy again. So, yeah, I think we go receiver here. Allen Robinson, do you roll the dice? Allen Robinson's a free agent. Could end up somewhere very nice, or could end up on the Browns, which would be a disaster. Man, you got to love the season Mike Williams has just had. I think he might also be a free agent, but the Chargers look like locking him up. Justin Herbert, absolute studs. Yeah, let's go Mike Williams here and get him locked up in a receiver role. He'll be good for, a lot of solid points. And then, what Mike Williams is like, he'll explode some weeks and win you a couple of games on his own. So I'm happy going Mike Williams there. I thought we might have been able to get Melvin Gordon. That was going to be one of my sneaky picks. He's just gone. So let's see who we do have available here. Right. We got AJ Dillon, which is an interesting, very interesting prospect, considering that nobody seems to know what's going on in Green Bay. AJ Dillon would be really intriguing. And the other guys here, just don't really move the Amon-Ra St. Brown's done now, but I think he'll fall to us in the next round. I think AJ Dillon's a risk worth taking here. I mean, if he becomes the guy, then again, the value here is huge. You can get an Allen Robinson straight up easily. You can get Rondale Moore plus. You can get, people like Robert Woods plus if he becomes a guy. Kirk Cousins is also sitting there. That's interesting. We do have 3 top quality quarterbacks locked up. Kirk Cousins is a quality quarterback, but again, the situation at Minnesota scares me a little bit. Yeah, I'm taking the risk on AJ Dillon here. Let's go for AJ Dillon and see how we wind up. So lots of tight ends coming off the board, and again, it makes you feel good that you got Pitts and Hawkinson locked up. That's just fantastic to get, and just screams value. All right, Tom Brady going. Ooh, interesting. Okay, right. Halfway point, round 10. Ooh, interesting. Okay. So Amon-Ra St. Brown did fall to the next round. Yeah, you got to go Amon-Ra St. Brown there. What an end to the season. Great value in the 10th round. No real discussion or debate there. That is, I think, the best value I'm going to get there. And hopefully he continues his really strong form into next season. Okay. Right. Let's pause up and see what we got. Michael Gallup, who's a free agent, could end up again in a really nice landing spot, or keep going in the Browns. He could end up on the Browns, which would be, it seems to be a receiver wasteland there. Just looking at what people like Odell Beckham have done since. No, I'm sure some of you who are watching the video have seen Jordan Love is there, which is an interesting proposition. Again, out of all the people there, he just screams value. The problem is he looks terrible. But, they got good coaches over there at Green Bay. It's been a very long time since Green Bay had a quarterback fail. Do you trust the staff to change Jordan Love into a legit talent? I mean, the other person there is Alexander Madison, who I can't stop drafting. I think I've got by far and away more shares of him than anyone else. So I'll not do that again. Hunter Renfro's an interesting one down there. And I gotta go Jordan Love here. He just screams the most value. if he hits, it's huge. And again, you can get everybody on this list. Plus, if Jordan Love has 3 good games in a row, and so all of a sudden it's looking okay in Green Bay for him, you can get everyone here plus easily. So even though it's going to be our 4th quarterback, you still got to go Jordan Love here. Just the value is so much. And again, you might end up with a team at the end of the year that's got holes in it, but that's what the draft is for. That's where you fix things. That's where you patch things up. And don't be afraid to lose year 1. Somebody's taken Madison. That's a shame. I can't get him on another roster. Okay. All right. Let's pause the draft. Let's see what we got. Who's in our team? So we have drafted. We've done it by position already, have we? Yep. Yeah, we got 3 receivers, 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, Waddle, Williams, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Again, probably want more on that receiver core. And I imagine the quality of running back available is awful. Myles Gaskin. Kenny Gainwell is an interesting one. Chuba Hubbard, I don't want to touch. He seemed to lose that backup role towards the end of the season. Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis is an interesting one, He's really obviously gained a whole lot of value since his playoff run where he looked amazing. But easy. Rashad Penny's still here. I don't know how Rashad Penny's still here because he looks like he has been in spectacular form. So yeah, you got to go Rashad Penny because he might be the man coming forward. And the last couple of games he looked immense. Hopefully he can stay fit. Rashad Penny's a draft there that actually, if he goes off the first few games, I'm selling Rashad Penny. I'm getting those picks for 2023. And yeah, seeing how much value I can squeeze out of Rashad Penny while he's still got it. Okay. Going forward, De'Ami Brown, no real interest. Okay, we need to scroll up. Let's see. Irv Smith Jr. I've got a lot of shares on him as well. It's going to be interesting to see what he'll look like in that offense running forward. Devin Singletary looked great for the Bills in the offseason, or the postseason, but I can't imagine they are going to leave that draft without some running backs being drafted, maybe even in the first round. So I don't think I'm going to go for him. However, there's not a huge amount of others here that I would be really going for. Yeah. I think we just scrolled past him. There was a name that stood out there, and it was Khalil Herbert kind of, but Van Jefferson is part of an electric offense. He seems like he's getting better and better and better and becoming more involved and more involved. So I think even though it seems, I think he'll be there. Yeah, he will be there, won't he? This is always an interesting part of drafting, right? Yeah, he will be there. He'll be there for us next round. So let's go ahead and do you take Ernest Smith Jr. here? I think so. Or Khalil Herbert. That's an interesting backup situation. Man, I think you took Ernest Smith Jr. I thought he was going to be a huge hit this year in Minnesota. Didn't work out that way. Adam Thielen's seems to be evergreen, but one injury to him, and then there's this chasm of red zone targets that are going to open up in Minnesota, and I think Irv Smith Jr. could really benefit from that. So I'm going to bank on Father Time catching up to Adam Thielen and Irv Smith stealing those touchdowns. So yeah, let's go Irv Smith, and let's hope that our guy falls to us in the next round. So Singletary gone as we expected. Moss can go in the bin as far as I'm concerned, but good luck to that team with him. Ooh, we're getting close to our turn again, and hey, there is nothing better than a gamble paying off, right? Van Jefferson, definitely taking him now before anyone else gobbles him up. Amazing. So we're coming into 3/4 of the way through. Looking pretty good, I think. And would be nice to get another running back, but man, that's going to be slim pickings whenever people like Mike Davis are coming off the board and JD McKissick. So let's just have a look and see. I think our team is a bit running back. So we got three. We got 4 receivers, 3 running. We got 3 tight ends. I don't think we need any more tight ends, even though, man, I just can't stop drafting tight ends, it seems. Let's have a look and focus in on the receivers and the running backs. And right away, I'm like, ooh, Dalton Schultz. Zach Ertz seemed to scream value, but man, we need to sort out this team as well. Minshew's an interesting prospect as well. I think Minshew's good enough to start for a team next year, which makes things interesting. McCall Hartman, I'm a Chiefs fan. I think McCall Hartman is, he's just like, he's taking up a spot on your roster in Dynasty. He's an interesting gadgety player in the NFL for the Chiefs, but man, I'm not wasting my time drafting McCall Hartman here because he's never going to go in the lineup, and yeah, he's not going to win you any games, in my opinion. I think the Chiefs need to invest in wide receiver this offseason because Hartman's not the guy. Yeah, he's not the guy. So I would avoid him here. Marquez Callaway, interesting shout. Josh Palmer, interesting. I like him. Paris Campbell, man, I can't draft anymore. Paris Campbell, he's hurt me too much. Cole Beasley is always solid. Nico Collins, yeah, we're slim pickings, right? We're very, very slim pickings. Let's have a look. If we just go running back, who we got? Mostert will get injured. Gus Edwards will be an interesting shot for a backup spot, but again, you don't trust him. Now there's a guy, Ernest Johnson, that has played so well and could end up in a starting role somewhere, or not starting role, but a committee role somewhere. So that's interesting. But I think he's far enough down that we could draft him a wee bit later. Yeah, he is. Yeah, I said I wanted to take a receiver here, but Russell Gage is interesting. Russell Gage might have the most potential there to get you the most points. No one else really standing out to me. These guys will still be there whenever we come back around. Antonio Brown will definitely still be there when we come back around. Tricky. Man, I'm really tempted to go Gardner Minshew, Really, really tempted to go Gardner Minshew because I think he might get a starting role. And I don't think any of these other guys are going to have that value. So yeah, let's go Minshew. We'll take him. Okay, let's see what we got next. Again, it's a bit of a gamble. I've taken a few gambles like that, but if it pays off, Minshew becomes a starting quarterback, you're going to get, Mostert, Palmer, Gage, even the people that went before him, like Sterling Shepard. You think you can't get people like that straight up? The value's definitely worth the gamble if Minshew ends up starting somewhere, and that someone's going to need a quarterback somewhere for sure. Here, I like Nico Collins here. Ernest Johnson still down the board. I think he might fall to us. I'm taking the talent in Nico Collins. I think he's good. I think Houston, hopefully, will continue to develop with Davis Mills. He's pretty good. And if Collins and Mills can strike up a partnership, then that's good for this team. So let's go Nico Collins here, and hopefully Ernest Johnson will fall to us too, because again, I think he's got the talent to make a mark. Cal Trask, that was a nice pick. I had to miss Cal Trask there. Yeah, if Brady retires, that could be interesting. So let's see. Yes, Ernest Johnson has fallen to us again. Man, he's just got the talent that other people on this list do not have, or did once have, and are too old, not like Sony Michel and people like Nelson Aguilar are just a bit too old now. So I'm going to take a risk on Ernest Johnson because I think he's good enough that the Browns could trade him and he might go to a team as part of a committee, or the Browns might not renew Kareem Hunt. I like Ernest Johnson. I want him on my team. Let's go and take that gamble. And we're approaching round 18, so everything here is a dart throw. Everything here is a gamble. And I'd rather take the gamble on these young guys rather than, drafting Emmanuel Sanders or people like that are going to be out of the league in a few years' time anyway. I definitely would not be picking or gambling on Antonio Brown, who's just gone, because, he's more likely to be fighting one of the Paul brothers in the next year than playing in the NFL. So I'm not going for him. Right, who we got here? Man, Donovan Peoples-Jones. I like Donovan Peoples-Jones. I just hate the quarterback situation. Mitch Trubisky, again, similar to Minshew, I think he's good enough to play. In fact, let's have a look. Who we got in the quarterbacks? I know I've taken a lot, but there's still some interesting names here. Still some interesting names. Trubisky is an interesting one. Who we got at running back? Oh, I mean, do you go Keyshawn Vaughn? I think he'll still be hanging around. Wide receivers, usually this is where the value goes deepest. I like Quintez Cephas is playing well before his injury. Amon-Ra St. Brown kind of took that role away. Donovan Peoples-Jones looks like he might become, that main option in Cleveland soon. I think Donovan Peoples-Jones, if Baker can get his stuff together, that could be a good combo. So let's go Donovan Peoples-Jones here in the 18th round, which that's pretty good. I think in the 18th round to get a player like that. And again, there's no one coming off the board here that I'm going, I really should have taken him. Like Alan Lazard's. I mean, what's the point? He just sits on so many rosters and he's just clogging up a spot, and no one's happy about having Alan Lazard on the roster, sadly. Maybe he's a nice guy, but he's not going on any of my teams. He's just not worth the spot in my view. Who we got a tight end? Man, Parham's interesting with that link, but man, Mitch Trubisky's right there. I think again he's good enough to start. And like I said at the start, you got to take the value. If Mitch Trubisky becomes a starter, there's nobody in sight here that is anywhere near as valuable as Mitch Trubisky. So let's go Mitch Trubisky. And this is it. We're coming into our last round. Let's see who goes. Albert O. I do like Albert O, but again, he's just locked up with Noah Fant, and that's going to be a hard situation to get any kind of playing time. David Njoku is interesting. I think he might be a free agent. So he could go somewhere interesting. All right. The final pick. Who are we going to go with? Do you go with Keyshawn Vaughn? I mean, Lenny is I think Leonard Fournette is a free agent. I think Keyshawn Vaughn is the only guy under contract there, or locked up anyway. I don't think there's too much else here that is making me, raise an eyebrow. So, I like Donald Parham, but man, I'll take what's up with Jonathan Adams? Is Larkin? Oh, that's weird. I'll take Keyshawn Vaughn here at the end. Again, worth a gamble. And here we go. Draft is wrapping up, so we can review what we've done and see if I've made any catastrophic errors or not. Lots of quarterbacks. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I mean, look at that. That is just value left, right, and center. You got Joe Burrow and Trey Lance and Deshaun Watson. That is money. You got Jordan Love, potential. Gardner Minshew, potential. Mitchell Trubisky, potential. Those 3 picks alone could be worth 10 times over. Are all 3 going to hit? Absolutely not. Is one of them going to become a starter and do well? Yeah, I would say so, out of those three. So in the 11th, 15th, and 19th round, we've got potential starting quarterback. Love it. Absolutely love it. Running backs, we're a bit thin, but there is absolutely no way there is going to be a season where we don't have a waiver wire wonder running back. So that's what I'm going to be looking for at the start of the season here is who's that waiver wire wonder. Get him on your roster. If you have Fab, throw most of it at him and get him. It was Cordero Patterson this year. It was people like Khalil Herbert, maybe even for a while, but you need to get them on your roster. You need to flip them. You need to sell them because if they're a 1 year wonder, unless you're a contender and you really need them, get them off the waiver wire, get as much value as you can out of them. I managed to get an excellent deal for Cordero Patterson in one league this year. I managed to flip him and Damian Williams, who was the starter at the Browns for a while. I managed to get Dallas Goedert and Elijah Moore for those two, which is one of the best trades I've ever done. And, it's just got better and better and better with age. So I was delighted about that. So, man, Elijah Mitchell is a perfect example. Look at this guy. He was the waiver wire wonder just last year. And now, look, he's going in the 6th round of startups. So, and there's going to be someone there that is available. And I'm just thrilled to get AJ Dillon and Rashad Penny, Ernest Johnson, and Keyshawn Vaughn. Bit of a risk, but I'm pretty happy with those three and hopefully can get, our waiver wire wonder to fill in the blanks. Receiver core, Jalen Waddle, what stud, Mike Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Van Jefferson, Nico Collins, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Solid receiver core there. And then 3 of my favorite tight ends. We got Cal Pitts, we got TJ Hawkinson, we got Irv Smith Jr. Very interesting draft. You know what? One thing stands out is there's no superstar name outside of my quarterbacks, but I still think this team is just dripping with potential value. So I'm absolutely delighted with this. I think it reflects the kind of player that I am. And yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed listening to this. Cannot wait to start getting other people in the hot seats and seeing how different this, ends up looking compared to whenever I done it as well. So just a quick, thank you to everyone who's helped support this and I've been spreading the word on Twitter. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while. And yeah, I'm delighted that I've been able to get started. So thank you all so much for listening. And yeah, good luck. Good night.